Here's the Read Aloud for April 15th, day 30. Where were we? Let's see. Okay. When they stood over the painted, life-size metal statue of Dale, Grandma shook her head. I've never seen this particular enchantment, but that's certainly Dale. Can you help him? Kendra asked. Perhaps, given sufficient time. Part of counteracting an enchantment is understanding who placed it and how. We found tracks, Seth said. He showed Grandma the print in the flower bed. Although the impression had faded a bit, it remained recognizable. Grandma frowned. It doesn't look familiar. Maybe creatures run wild on festival nights that we otherwise never encounter, which is why we take cover indoors. The print may not even be a relevant clue. It could belong to the perpetrator or to the mount the perpetrator rode, or it could belong to something that just happened to step there sometime during the night. So we just ignore Dale for now, Kendra asked. We have no alternative. Time is short. We can only hope that by rescuing your grandfather, we can shed more light on what caused Dale's condition and find a way to reverse the curse. Come. They returned to the house. Grandma spoke over her shoulder as they mounted the stairs to the second floor. There are a few special strongholds within the house. One is the room where you have been staying. Another is a second room on the other side of the attic. I knew it, Kendra said. I could tell from the outside that there had to be more to the attic, but I could never figure out a way in. You were probably searching in the wrong place, Grandma said, leading them down the hall to her room. The two sides of the attic are not interconnected. When we get up there, I'll fill you in on my strategy. Grandma crouched and picked through a broken nightstand. She found a few hairpins and used them to pile her hair into a matronly bun. Searching more, she located a key. She led them into the master bathroom where she used the key to unlock a closet door. Instead of a closet, the door opened to reveal a second door, this one made of steel with large combination wheel, a vault door. Grandma began spinning the wheel. 4 turns to 4 turns right to 11, 3 turns left to 28, 2 right to 3, 1 left to 31, and a half turn right to 18. She pulled a lever and the heavy door clacked open. Carpeted stairs led up to another door. Grandma went up first. Seth and Kendra joined her in the attic. This side of the attic was even larger than the playroom. Grandma flipped a switch and several lights dispelled the dimness. A long workbench dominated one side of the room. The wall above it covered with tools supported on pegs. Handsome wooden cabinets lined the other wall. Various unusual objects littered the room: a birdcage, a phonograph, a battle axe, a hanging scale, a mannequin, a globe the size of a beach ball. Trunks and boxes were arranged in rows on the floor, leaving just enough aisle space to access them. Heavy curtains concealed the windows. Grandma motioned them over to the workbench where they perched on stools. What's in all the boxes? Seth asked. Many things, most of them unsafe. This is where we guard our most prized weapons and talismans. Spell books, ingredients for potions, all the good stuff. Can you tell us more about Grandpa now? Kendra said. Yes. You heard Nero say that Stan and Lena are being held in the Forgotten Chapel. Let me summarize some history to bring the ramifications into view. Long ago, this land was possessed by a powerful demon named Bahamut. For centuries, he terrorized the natives who dwelt in the region. They learned to avoid certain areas, yet even with these precautions, nowhere in the vicinity was truly safe. The natives made whatever offerings the demon seemed to require, but still they lived in fear. When a group of Europeans offered to overthrow the demon in exchange for a claim to the lands it haunted, the incredulous local leaders consented. Aided by mighty allies and potent magic, the Europeans successfully subdued and imprisoned the demon. Some years later, they founded Fablehaven on the land they wrested from Bahamut. Years passed. In the early 1800s, a community comprised chiefly of extended family had developed on this preserve. They built a number of dwellings around the original mansion, and this was before the current house and barn were constructed. The old mansion still stands deep within this property, though most of the flimsier structures around it have been swallowed by time and the elements. Although their homes are gone, they did construct one lasting structure, a church. In 1826, thanks to human frailty and foolishness, Bahamut nearly escaped. It could have been a serious disaster because no one who remained on the preserve possessed the resources or knowledge to contend successfully with an entity of his power. Although the jailbreak was prevented, the experience proved too unnerving for most who lived here, and the majority departed. The prison that held the demon had been damaged. With outside help, Bahamut had moved to a new holding area in the basement of the church. Meetings there ceased a few months after that, and in the intervening years it became known as the Forgotten Chapel. So Bahamut is still there, Kendra said. Believe me, we would know if Bahamut had been loosed. I doubt anyone in the world has the capacity to recapture that fiend if he were to get free. His kind have been absent for too long, imprisoned or destroyed. Those who knew how to defeat such a foe have passed on, with none to replace them, which brings me to my greatest concern, that Muriel might try to release Bahamut. Would she do something so stupid? Seth cried. Muriel is a student of evil. She was originally imprisoned for tampering with such things. If she reaches the Forgotten Chapel first, which she may have already done, assuming her imps have appraised her of the situation, we will have to neutralize her in order to save your grandfather. If we allow her enough time to release Bahamut, we will all need saving. That is why I must try to stop her immediately. Not just you, Seth. Hugo and I will handle this. You kids have done enough. What? Seth exclaimed. No way. Retrieving your grandfather should not be too difficult, but the worst case scenario transpires and I fail. Fablehaven could fall. Bahamut never agreed to the treaty that protects this sanctuary. None of his kind would. He has a claim to this land and is a being of sufficient power to overthrow the treaty, plunging the preserve into endless darkness. Every day would become like those fearful festival nights, and this property would be forever uninhabitable for all the denizens of shadow. Any mortal trapped here would fall prey to the horrors too terrible to contemplate. Could that really happen? Kendra asked quietly. It would not be the first time, Grandma said. Preserves have fallen ever since they were instituted. The causes are myriad, usually stemming from human folly. Some have been reclaimed, others fell beyond redemption. Currently, there are at least 30 fallen preserves in the world. Perhaps most unnerving are the recent whispers about the Society of the Evening Star. Maddox told us about them, Seth said. Grandpa got a letter warning him to be on the lookout, Kendra added. Traditionally, the fall of a preserve was an uncommon occurrence, maybe 1 or 2 a century. About 10 years ago, rumors began circulating that the Society of the Evening Star was working mischief again. Around the same time, preserves began falling at an alarming rate. 4 have fallen over the past 5 years. Why would anybody do that? Kendra asked. Many have sought the answers to that question, Grandma said, to gain riches, power. We who safeguard the preserves are essentially conservationists. We don't want to see the magnificent magical creatures of the world go extinct. We try not to discriminate against creatures of shadow. We want them to survive as well, but we do compartmentalize them when necessary. Members of the Society of the Evening Star mask their true intentions with rhetoric, alleging that we wrongfully imprison creatures of darkness. Do you? Seth asked. The most violent and malevolent demons are imprisoned, yes, but that is for the safety of the world. In pursuit of endless carnage and unlawful dominion, they clashed anciently with good humans and creatures of light and are paying a heavy price for losing. Many other sinister entities were admitted to preserves only on condition that they would agree to certain limitations, agreements they entered voluntarily. A common restriction is that they are not permitted to leave the preserve, so the society considers many of these creatures also incarcerated. They argue that the covenants of the preserves create artificial rules that upset the natural order of things. They consider the majority of humanity expendable. Their premise is that chaos and bloodshed are preferable to just regulations. We disagree. We'll read more tomorrow.